MS Now's Kevin Fry is reporting from Capitol Hill. Ashley Parker is staff writer for The Atlantic and an MS Now political analyst. And Tara Setmayer is former GOP communications director and co-founder and CEO of the Seneca Project. So, Kevin, MS Now spoke to one of the Republican congressmen leading the charge against Trump's anti-weaponization fund, Brian Fitzpatrick. What did he say?
Yeah, I mean, look, he has warned that this is, in his view, a dangerous backsliding in the transparency of our institutions. He spoke to our colleague Jack Fitzpatrick about his plans, which include rolling out legislation to block this outright.
We're going to introduce a bill. We're trying to get our arms around what jurisdiction we have. So we need to unpack the source of the funding. And that's our question to Todd Blanche is, where is this money coming from? I don't think it's an appropriate use of money. Let's just put it that way. Nor do I think the ballroom is an appropriate use of money. Our job is to represent a district. We don't report to any person or any party in this town. It's not how our system of government works. We report to people back home. They're the ones that we work for.
And that last comment there about his fear of potential backlash from Trump. He, of course, represents a rather competitive district in Pennsylvania. But this speaks to a larger theme that we're seeing in these last few days, that despite Trump's successes when it comes to knocking people out in primaries across the country, in GOP primaries, here on the Hill, all of a sudden we have seen some exasperation from Republicans with parts of the president's agenda. Today, this morning, when it comes to that $1.8 billion fund, Acting Attorney General, I should say, Todd Blanche was on the Hill. He is meeting with senators, trying to rally support, explain this bill, this policy, so that Republicans might not go ahead and try to strip it entirely as part of a reconciliation process over the next 2 days or so. Coming out of that meeting, you heard Senator Collins, when she was asked, has your mind been changed at all about this $1.8 billion fund? And she said simply, no. So if there are enough Republicans, be it Cassidy, be it Tillis, be it Collins, and maybe one or two more that are willing to work with Democrats or side with Democrats in a critical vote over the next 48 hours or so, it could spell trouble for that $1.8 billion fund.
So, Tara, what does it tell you that the pushback on that weaponization fund has been so swift? I mean, it was just announced 3 days ago. Is there finally a red line for some of these Republicans?
Well, sure. The red line is it threatens their reelection. I mean, the whole process stinks to high heavens. It's political kryptonite, and they know this. I think it's interesting that a Republican congressman like Brian Fitzpatrick, who's coming from a crucial swing district in a crucial state like Pennsylvania, is leading the charge against this. Well, sure, because this is grossly unpopular. The American people are looking at this and going, I'm sorry, what is happening? The president of the United States has created a January 6th type slush fund to compensate people who tried to overturn our free and fair election. And he used flagpoles and bear spray and everything else to assault police officers. Hundreds of them, some lost their lives, some lost their careers. And our tax dollars are going to pay for this. All the while, we're in an affordability crisis and we can't afford gas or our mortgages or sending our kids to college, or our farms are going bankrupt. We're losing our businesses. And Donald Trump is over here doing this, using the government for these purposes. I mean, they know that this is a problem. And I'm glad to see that some of them have finally found a political spine and are standing up. But imagine if they had done this prior to today. We wouldn't be here right now.
Well, we've been watching the president in the Oval Office. He's been talking about exactly what Tara just mentioned, affordability, and was asked specifically about whether he's losing Republican support. Let's play what he said just a couple of minutes ago.
Some of the other priorities, the ballroom and that anti-weaponization fund. You clearly still have a strong hold in the Republican Party. Your candidates did very well this week during the primaries. But are you losing control?
My candidates did well. Not all candidates did well.
But are you losing control of the Senate, sir? Are you losing control of the Senate Republicans?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can tell you, I only do what's right. I don't need money for the ballroom. You know, I'm making a gift of the ballroom. This is the biggest misreporting that I've ever seen. The ballroom is being built. It'll cost. It was going to be $200 million. I've doubled the size of it because we need it, and it's being done in conjunction with the military and with the very much in conjunction with the military and Secret Service. We're on time, on budget. It's going beautifully. Have all the money I need. We're making a gift to the United States. They came along and they said we want to make it the White House overall more secure, and I understand that. not for me, because I'll be gone. I'll be gone, and you'll have somebody else in for hopefully hundreds of years. But that's what they're doing it for. The ballroom is paid for. It's a gift. I mean, I want to make it clear, because so many people say, I thought you were giving this away. And all of a sudden, the money that they're spending is for security, having to do maybe around the ballroom and other parts of the house. But this is not for the ballroom. The ballroom is being a tremendous amount of what's being done with respect to the ballroom is for national security, including, as an example, a drone port on top of which was top secret until litigation made it less than top secret. But we have a drone port.
Ashley, I wonder what you make of what the president just had to say, including the fact that once again he's saying that he's not worried about money for the ballroom. He has money for the ballroom.
First of all, some of that money from private donations and funders is controversial in its own way, because there's a sense that people, a lot of these big corporations who have cases before the federal government and contracts and a lot to benefit from decisions this president will make, are contributing to something he cares deeply about. And I also want to just go back briefly to your previous question to Tara about, is this a red line? Are some of these Republicans gaining courage? And I just think the courage they are gaining is overstated. A lot of the Republicans who are standing up to him, which again is still an incredibly small number relatively, are people like Congressman Fitzpatrick, those rare Republicans in actually purple districts who have a little more leeway to do what they need to win their state or win their district. That's a very small group of people. Then you have people like Bill Cassidy, who's suddenly very critical after he lost his primary and politics are no longer at stake with him. And also someone like Senator Thom Tillis, who is retiring and leaving and can become much more emboldened as well. So this is still a small minority of Republicans doing this, even though it does feel different because they have so frequently just entirely rolled over when it came to this president's whims.
You mentioned the Tillis criticism. This is what Thom Tillis said about all this. Quote, I believe that there are people in the White House who couldn't care less about what happens in November. And that goes to show you how stupid they are, because if they don't get Republicans reelected, they're going to create the most miserable 2 years of this president's life. That's from Politico. Do you hear anything like that, Ashley?
Yes and no. I mean, what I have heard is that there is a lot of real concern, and rightfully so, from Republicans who believe, as Senator Tillis does, that Trump and his team are not doing what is best for the Republican Party, that Republicans are getting hurt politically from this president's decision. I have reported in The Atlantic that Donald Trump does not particularly care about the Republican Party. He would prefer to hold the House and the Senate. He'd prefer to hold the Senate more than the House, just because of what that could mean for a third impeachment and a trial in the Senate. But in general, he's never really considered himself a traditional Republican. He is now governing where he is viewing himself as a man, a great man of history. You've seen him say he doesn't really care about the war in Iran and how that may hurt the economics of the average voter. So that is a very, very real feeling. But I think there is also some truth that, depending on what happens in these midterms, that it could be incredibly unpleasant for this president. I mean, he's going into all these primaries to get Republicans who will win and be very loyal in MAGA. But if Democrats win the House, it doesn't matter how MAGA the minority Republicans are. It is still better to hold the House with your own party, even with some moderates, than to be in the minority with a very fringe group.
So, Tara, I want to ask you about this War Powers vote today, because if it passes the House and Trump ultimately vetoes it, which is expected, does that have any impact on him politically?
Maybe marginally. I mean, most people don't fully understand what's happening with the War Powers Act, what that means. They're paying attention to how much am I paying at the pump every day? How much are prices going up? And how much more difficult is my life now under the control of Donald Trump and Republicans? So I symbolically, for people like us who pay attention to the politics and the insider baseball part on this, it's interesting. But I think what's more interesting here in all of this is to Ashley's point that Trump doesn't really care what happens in the midterms. He doesn't care. And we have to remember that he always runs in his mind better as a political victim. If the Republicans lose everything in November, then the next 2 years will be difficult for him politically, as far as what the Democrats can do with that type of power. And there should be full scale accountability, and he would not be able to get away with a lot of the things that he's doing now, completely neutering Congress. But he also can raise lots of money and lean into, they're coming to get me, they're coming for me. That has always been his political currency. So he's still doing that. Now, the other thing, too, is I have been in politics for over 30 years. I have never seen political malpractice like this in a midterm coming from the party in control, the way we see coming out of this White House. What are they doing? This seems like, do they know something we don't about what's going to happen in November? Because he is doing everything you could possibly do wrong. The political people inside the White House who understand the political gravity here that's going on, they recognize that what Donald Trump is doing by talking about ballrooms and his arch and bypassing Congress and January 6th slush funds, like these are things that are politically toxic for anyone else, and definitely politically toxic down ballot for those swing district Republicans like Brian Fitzpatrick and others. This is a gift to Democrats to go on offense for them, and they know it, which is why you're starting to see some of this pushback inside the Congress, particularly in the Senate, because the Senate is in play. And the Senate is in play because of Donald Trump and his failures and political missteps. So it is quite an interesting tactic, strategy. I don't know what it is coming out of the White House in a crucial midterm election year where Republicans could get swept.